Good morning, it's Audrey June, aka Soft Child Oracle, and I'm here today just to kind of think about self love and how to really demonstrate to yourself the love that you feel towards yourself and how to love yourself as much as you love others. I know that for some people that's also a struggle. And you know what they say, you can't really love anybody else unless you love yourself. So it's extremely important to put yourself first, to love yourself first, because that's really the foundation of everything else. So I'm going to use the Whispers of Love cards today. And I'm going to start with the question for the collective. What do we need? What message does our heart have for us as far as cultivating a deeper and more loving, respectful relationship with ourselves is concerned? So, what is our heart trying to tell us to do to really show ourselves the love that we deserve within ourselves? Alright, so we have card 45. Be supportive. 4 plus 5 is 9, which is the end of a cycle, which is the Hermit, going deep within. When you look at this card, what do you see? You see an angel with a woman dressed in white next to him. His wings have all the colors of the chakras, so he's balanced. To me, he represents self-compassion. He represents the angels from within. We see all the butterflies. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Foundation. Butterflies, again, are transformation. In the background, we see a blue and red mauve colored lights, and then we see the moon, the full moon, right? And the full moon is coming. Full moon has to do with overfilling, right? Demonstrating that we ourselves are overfilled with love. So let's see what our book has to say about be supportive, right? Make a genuine effort to show you care. Some extra support and care is all that is needed. Encourage someone and recognize the effort they are making. Being supportive will help create harmony and peace. Just as the angels support us in all things, be willing to support the ones you love. Find something that interests your partner, whether they're passionate about a charitable cause, a sport, or hobby. Take an interest in their endeavors, right? So, to show yourself that you love yourself, give yourself the time really to just explore your own passions. Learn about why someone is passionate. This type of support can really mean the world to someone and foster better communication and appreciation. With time, this might be something you enjoy too, right? So, really, what this card is saying is you have to be less self involved, right? So, I find that within relationships, just the way that we're programmed, the way that we're taught to be, is very much selfish, self centered. Like, it's always like, oh, what is this person doing to me? What am I? It's never like, what does this person need? What is this person experiencing that I'm not part of? Like, especially when you're away from somebody, it just becomes so codependent, so about you, right? So this card is really just saying to take an interest in those that you love in a way that has nothing to do with you. So like ask about their other relationships, ask about their friends, ask about their family, their children, their just anything that has nothing to do with you, because that in of itself can really show how much you care about somebody. So that's be supportive. All right, so now what other messages how else do we need to show and express our love? Do we need to speak outwardly to express how deeply we love? I've got card 17, which breaks down into 8. 8 has to do with justice, has to do with action, and just this confidence, this worldly balance. And it says, have patience. Love is patient and kind always. And you see here a little girl, and she is on a lotus flower, and she is looking into the water. And in the water, it's like she's seeing heaven, right? She's seeing these lush pastures, these beautiful trees, and the mountains. And then above her are the mountains yet again, with the waterfalls and the stars above. So it's like about hope. So let's see here. Love is patient and kind always. Work on being more patient. If you lack patience with others, remember that they are human and different from you. If your impatience has to do with the outcome, know your prayers are being answered. Have a little more patience. You might be in a tense situation that is beyond your control. Be aware of the thoughts that precede any frustration or anxious feelings. Pay attention to your self-talk. All things arrive in their perfect time. Try to distract yourself while you're waiting for things to come to fruition. Engage in an activity that will occupy your time. The time will magically pass while you're otherwise engrossed. Look for ways to be patient. A small child contemplates the water while floating on a lotus flower. Lotus flowers rise from still and muddy water to prove grace and beauty can come from gloomy circumstances. Behind the girl, waterfalls flow into the body of water she glides on. This may indicate an arrival from various points and not one singular event, right? So this has to do with synchronicities. This has to do with divine timing. This has to do with surrender and not forcing, and really paying attention to self and how your internal struggles and your internal patterns and your internal cycles are creating the reality around you. So we've said this a lot, and it's true. Now is a time of contemplation, but with this Lionsgate portal that just opened, it's a time to act on that contemplation. It's a time to really demonstrate and to express to those around us that we have taken their advice, we have listened, we have taken the time to go within and understand ourselves on a deeper level, and that understanding and that contemplation needs to come out in action. So never forget that while you have to have patience, absolutely, but that patience is not helpful. All the work you do inside of yourself is not helpful if it's not expressing itself outwardly. So those are the cards that I have pulled from the Whispers of Love. And now I am going to pull from the Aboriginal Goddess deck. And the question I'm going to ask is, what can we do with this new energy? So this energy that's coming in is pure unconditional love. It is it's active. It is, we're moving beyond. As we enter, today is August 1st. So as we're entering into August, we're moving beyond the quiet contemplation. We're moving beyond those internal struggles, and our actions need to express and represent the new self that we've created inside of ourselves. So how do we use this energy outwardly? What actions should we be looking at to take? All right, so we have the Lady of the Lake. Lady of the Lake is, in fact, purple, the third eye chakra. Okay, let me show it to you. So, if you know anything about the Lady of the Lake, she is the one that gave King Arthur his power. So when you look at her, she is looking to the side. She has flowers in her hair. And she feels neglect and abandonment. There's the cross here. So let's look into what our deck has to say about the Lady of the Lake. The Lady of the Lake is the keeper of the Excalibur and the voice of the goddess during the times when Avalon existed on the earthly plane. She is the mother of Sir Lancelot and great friend of Merlin. There were 9 ladies of the lake, of which the final lady, Vivian, is best known. She ruled during the times Christianity was introduced into Britain, and when Christian priests denounced beliefs in anything other than their one Christian God. The Lady of the Lake made an agreement with Arthur when he was a young man that if he would support the cause of Avalon, she would allow him to take Excalibur from the stone and rule the kingdom of Le Britain, to which he agreed. However, as years passed, and through the insistence of his Christian wife, Guinevere, he began to rule his kingdom as a Christian king, forgetting his allegiance to Avalon and the goddess. That is kind of what's happened in this world overall. We have a very great imbalance, and that imbalance is coming apart finally. But with Christianity, it's been the great mother, Mary, has been forgotten, as has the divine feminine, Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene was Christ's wife and counterpart and divine feminine. So she was there holding space the entire time. She was healing, but she healed from the shadows, meaning she was there. Her energy was part of the process, but she was not necessarily given the exaltation. And we're coming into a time where Mary Magdalene is resurfacing and can be called upon, and the divine feminine is rising again. The practice of ceremonies and rituals relating to the old ways which worship the goddess were frowned upon, and over time began to slowly fade away. Eventually, Avalon disappeared into the mist of Glastonbury, and with it went the practices of worshiping the goddess. It's important to value your beliefs. They have guided you in your life's journey. Often we're tempted by other ideas that seem more glamorous or hold the promise of greater riches. However, before making such life-changing decisions, take a moment to check your real feelings. Are these feelings related to the hype and possibility of the new situation? And most importantly, is there any real substance to what you're being led to believe? It's normal for you to rush into decisions, but it's time for a quiet reflection, to notice the chatter in your head and feel what your body is telling you. This decision challenges your beliefs and brings with it a responsibility for a life-changing event. Take your time and your decision will be the correct one. So, how do we act and express the changes that we've been experiencing on the inside. With the Lady of the Lake, it's telling us that we have to follow from the heart. We need to take our own time to recognize what we ourselves truly feel and to parse out, to step away from advice, to step away from external stimuli, and to really, really think about what is it that we want. What is most important in our lives right now? How do we build and reshape this situation for everybody? That's what it's asking us to do. So I'm going to pull one more from the fairy deck. And I'm just going to shuffle. What do we need to look at within ourselves to gain clarity, to gain better clarity and step out of self-denial? What do we need to see clearly within ourselves to truly lead from the heart? And we've got 22, master number. Oath, promise, pledge, control. She has a white crown. She's completely covered in white, and there are spider webs around her. The spider remembers the creatrix, the dream world, the dream keeper. And we see a tree in the background. So this card really is telling us to look at our responsibilities, our responsibility to self, our responsibility to the collective, our responsibility to the promises that we've made, to really live by that. An oath is a sacred bond that we make. It's more than a promise. It's the bond of a soul contract through the spoken word. And thus we must be cautious when we offer our word and think through what it is we mean when we give it. It is impossible to ever know what another thinks we mean when we give our word. So when this card comes, there's a slight undertone of a warning that another person may take your word and twist it to mean they have your loyalty forever, regardless of circumstances, behavior, or treatment. So to me, this is really indicating distortion, perspective, perception. What do we mean when we say the words that come out of our mouth? What do we mean when we say I love you? What do we mean when we say I have you? What does that mean to you versus the people around you? An oath is made between equals, and an oath can be broken by both parties and by circumstance. You may now be considering a partnership or contractual agreement. It's almost impossible to know how to ensure that this is a good thing, because the truth is, within every contract, there is much that cannot be comprehended, even when it is read. If this is the case, ask the other party in the contract to explain what is meant by clauses you do not understand, and ask them to offer examples so you can best understand the paper oath you are taking. In some cases, it may be a handshake you are sealing an agreement with. Whatever its form, consider the weight that comes with the feeling of making this contract. So feel it within your heart. What do you stand for? And what's interesting about this card is that it also connects to the other card, Lady of the Lake. King Arthur made a contract with the Lady of the Lake, but then the circumstances, his love for his wife Guinevere, changes. He forgot what he had already promised to. So don't make promises you're not ready to keep. Don't make promises within yourself that you're not ready to keep. This really has to do with taking the time to consider every aspect before jumping into a new situation. Consider the future and the karmic load the agreement brings to you, along with its immediate benefits. It is the truth that when considering our word, we must understand as fully as we can what we have to agree to. Be sure to do this now. So, looking back, it's telling us to be patient with ourselves. It's telling us to really think through every aspect and to feel through with the heart every aspect of every life-changing decision that we're making. Make sure that there are no nuances left unpacked within your agreements with others. Make sure that you are on the same page. Make sure that you take the time within yourself to truly understand what this oath means. Don't jump into anything without truly considering all aspects of the situation. Yeah. So, that's what I'm going to leave you with today. And in quiet contemplation, remember always that I love you. Like, share, and subscribe. Namaste.